What it is, YouTube? It's your boy DC coming back with another bullseye of a tutorial here today on the channel. So I wanted to do a dope breakdown of me studying, Dr. Dre's 2001 Chronic. You feel me? I was just curious to hear how, the Dre was making the magic back in the day, listening to it with my ears now. It's the album I've listened to multiple times and I always try to figure it out. But today I wanted to talk about it, and I'm gonna be giving out a free FL Studio project file. So yeah, these last few weeks I just been using these videos to practice my FL Studio game. You feel me, and get everything right. And I've been having a lot of fun. So if y'all do want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Suggest more albums or more artists that I want to see me do like a kind of like an analysis of as I give out these free Fruity Loop project files, okay? So, very first thing I want to look at is the Chronic 2001. That's what I was listening to. You feel me? I just love the way Dr. Dre, he's literally like a chemist in the lab, cooking up with the right wrist, the beats, the production, the way that he uses the rappers like Eminem and Snoop Dogg and, Nate Dogg and Roof, whatever type of dogs and all these dogs and shit and Hitman. And, like I just love like listening to albums like this because they help me make me a better engineer. You feel me? It's like I'm kind of like a Kobe Bryant, watching Michael Jordan, or I'm like Kobe Bryant watching Hakeem Olajuwon. That's one common trait with the greats is that they like to, study other people. Before somebody becomes great, you got to know what greatness is. You feel me? So all y'all boys that want to become a great rapper or beat maker, you got to study the greats. You feel me? Listen to them shits. You feel me? Pay attention. So yeah, I wanted to break down Dr. Dre's workflow. Some of the standout songs is like Still Dre, dum 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 dum. And I also love listening to that one song too with Snoop Dogg, The Next Episode, which is so crazy. Like that song is timeless. They still playing that song on TikTok to this fucking day. Mr. D-O-double-G, you feel me? Type shit like that. So yeah, it was just great listening to this, and like, kind of studying Dr. Dre. So very first thing I want to look about is the master fader. I know a guy like Dr. Dre, he had, a great amount of understanding of how to use the SSL console as a tool. You feel me? He used it like a chef uses a butcher's knife, to make these, to kind of like sculpt and cut up his sound from the raw instruments and the vocals that he had, right? So I think a very important part is that SSL bus compressor. We all know that the SSL bus compressor is a VCA bus compressor that gives more punch. It's great for rock music and metal and punk music and rap music and anything that you just want to hit hard, like Mike Tyson. So I will use the SSL gangster mode, the ghetto mode bus compressor, and the usual settings is 30 attack and 1 release. And why do people use that? Well, the reason why they use this attack is because the faster you make the attack, the more it's gonna grab onto your transients, right? And that's not what you want on your bus compressor. And usually, with the release being as fast as it can, maybe sometimes you might want to change that around. The release is kind of like the bump in the groove and everything. But for the most part, I usually keep it on the fastest release, slowest attack. And the ratio usually is 4, so it's just a nice hard knee compression that adds punch and glue. You feel me? A little bit of that Elmer's Gorilla Glue, all right? And then an NLS bus channel as well. I use that because I know that Dr. Dre, he was using the board like a clipper. You feel me? He was pushing into the clipper. And that's another thing too, like clipping the master fader is a common thing that's been going on for a long time. It didn't matter if it was people clipping tape, if they was clipping converters, or they were clipping like FL Studio nowadays. It's all about hot sauce. A lot of people like spice. We like hot sauce. That's why it makes sense why people like to introduce some type of clipping onto the master. And that's a historic thing. That's like historic, like Lavery Gold, or people clipping the SSL console, or somebody clipping FL Studio. All right. It's all the same shit. The limiter I'm using is OZONE 11, and I like this because this is like a Fairchild emulation, but you also have different other types of limiters in there too, like the modern and the analog, the tube, okay? And that's just great because it's gonna give us some analog limiting. I know that back in the day, Dr. Dre, he did not have no digital limiter when he was making Chronic. And maybe that's why his mixes kind of sound so open. There's just that limiter that they're probably pressing into. That final mastering limiter is probably something that's really analog and smooth, something like the Lavery Gold type shit like that, that introduces a characteristic. So with Dr. Dre, the songs that just has some good ass bass, bro. You feel me? I love a song like Still Dre, bro. The low end is fucking crazy. Another great song is like Forget About Dre. You feel me? Like, oh my God, like I just love these songs, bruh. Murder Inc. I love the low end. It's so big and full. And Dr. Dre, he was one of these guys that was like a plastic surgeon because he was always trying to figure out how to put more booty into the jeans. You feel me? Like Dr. Miami. He was always trying to figure out how to put more low end, more girth, more size into the goddamn the songs that he was, mixing. You feel me? His records, always the biggest bass and the loudest bumping bass because that's what we love in the hood. So that's why I love Dr. Dre, because he understands that emotional importance of a huge low end. That's what people in the hood be bumping to. You feel me? So yeah, I'll use something like a pull tech, because I love the way the pull tech boosts the low end, but it also makes it extremely round and musical sounding. So we would use that. And when I'm using pull tech's boom, I usually like boost it up like to a good amount, and I kind of scroll through the cycles, whether it's 20 hertz, 30 hertz, 60 hertz. And these are not even necessarily hertz, it's like cycles. So it's somewhere around the ballpark, so yeah, and then I'll use another thing like NLS bus, and it's important to understand how much clipping influences low end. You know what I mean? Like if you clipping into something like a tape, it might, of course, it's gonna flatten out your transients, but it's also gonna do something to the low end too. It's gonna jumble up the low end, and that's why you kind of hear a difference between modern rap music and throwback rap music. You feel me? Like outside of Dr. Dre, a lot of the throwback rap music, the bass don't really hit hard at all, fam. Like when I think of a song like Nas, what's that one? One Love. Like when I listen to like that whole Nas project, bruh, the low end don't really thump like a modern low end, and that's why Dr. Dre was a genius. He figured out how to put more ass into the jeans, which is the music. You feel me? The bit. You feel me? Type shit. So yeah, for his like he likes to go back and forth between different types of basses, whether it's acoustic bass or sometimes even like a synth bass or P bass or whatever. And I would use something like the Moog filter, and the Moog is just amazing, bro. I know Mix by Ali uses this, and this is a great plugin because you have the drive, the saturation circuit, which it's just a very very good saturation that adds that density and that big belly button, that big Thanksgiving after I ate 10 turkeys and 100 mashed potatoes type of big belly. It brings to the bottom of the bass. So after that, you got a bunch of different settings, but I only use like the input drive, the mono, and playing around with the slopes and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I would approach that. Next thing that we have is the kick. And I know Dr. Dre, he loved to use in his studio, he did have some SPL transient designers. SPL transient designers are incredible because you can make the kick hit harder without necessarily EQing. Sometimes when you EQ a sample, you might change the way it sounds, even though you just only want it to hit harder, and you EQ'd it to hit harder, you might actually be bringing out some other frequencies or some other tones within that sample that might change it, going from boom to boom. You feel me? Type shit like that. So that's why you might want to use a transient designer over a regular EQ on certain drums. So yeah, SSL channel script, and I use like the kick drum preset. You feel me? There's not really any sound examples. This is just me talking about the plugins and how you would use something like this. All right. And then, for the snare, Dr. Dre's snares, they always sound so good, bro. Like he has great sound selection, right? He's a master with the mix. And I love another great song too was The Message. It was a song towards the end that was just kind of perfect, bro. It was just the perfect way to end off a masterpiece, like a movie that has a good ending, So I definitely did enjoy that. And some LA niggas, that's a great song. Murder Inc. too, that's a crazy song. Murder Inc. is a crazy song. It's so deep and dark, and I loved how he applied like a radio effect, and they sound like killers and shit like that. It was just a great thing. So yeah, when it comes to the actual drum bus, of course, using something like clipping. Dr. Dre, he will use the board like a clipper, probably taking the input knob and driving whatever the bus, like the bus fader or whatever, driving that into clipping, just off like the mic pre or the line pre. So I would substitute it with the FL Studio clipper and NLS bus right here. You could even do the same thing, but that's what they did back in the days though. They had this knob and they pushed the line pre and played around with the trim at the same time. So it's level matched, shit to know. And then I think of the piano, dum 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 dum. Like everybody and their mama and their grandma and their auntie know that's that Dre piano sound, bro. Those keys are crazy. So that SSL channel strip, I'm pretty sure it was just a good ass recording. I doubt there was anything magical to like the way they processed it, because it just sounds like a good ass just recording, bro. like with a good ass microphone. Sometimes the shit you hear in the songs that you like are the most simplest stuff. So I would think something like an 1176 squishy piano and a parallel blend that backwards would probably be a great way to get that Dre sound, because I already know that I seen Michael Brower use this plugin, and I know the 76 it has the transistors. When the transistors kind of help the piano shimmer a little bit, any room tone or ambiance from like the piano, a plugin like a 76 is gonna help because they got the transistors to help it make it shimmer a little bit, and the transformers will add that warmth, and it's just a nice pumping kind of gooey. You feel me, like honey cream, peanut butter or some shit like that. Just a gooey, crunchy, like a type of really dope sound on that still DRE, type shit like that. And the guitars were very important on this album. I'm thinking about a couple songs. I think Let's Get High is one of these songs from 12 to 14 that like they have like this electric guitar that just sounds so good. Dr. Dre make that music that you roll up to, man, that you really smoke to type shit. You feel me? Like that you really burn packs. You really smoke a P listening to that shit. You feel me? You really burn through O's. You feel me? Type shit like that, like listening to Dre's music. He make that smoker music, bro, that California shit. And the 3A is a great plugin for electric guitars because I would pick that specifically. It has a solid state components and just a transformer, so it's not as like high mid focused as the LA2A. All right, and then of course the SSLG channel strip. So yeah, even the fact that Dr. Dre is consistently using like a SSLG strip across the whole songs, that in itself kind of tonally glues the thing, and not necessarily only the bus compressor. The fact that I got ketchup on my fries and my burger and my chicken wings, that's gonna kind of like be a common flavor amongst all the food that you're eating with your ears type shit. And then the synths are incredible on this album. I would use something like a transformer emulation maybe back in the day, just maybe running it through like just a pass of a tape or whatever piece of random gear that they had that probably had a transformer in it was enough to give it body. And then the music bus, I just very simple with the Kramer tape. The tape is a very influential part of Dr. Dre's sound too. How the songs are bumping and grooving into the tape. The tape is essentially shaping the overall, not only low end, but providing a mid-range bump, which is very important for like that upper harmonic on the bass of Dr. Dre. Sometimes it's not even just the actual sub that's so huge. Sometimes it's just the neckline of the bass that makes it feel big. And I know Dre don't use no damn auto tune, so I don't have that. Pretty standard, SSL move for the ad libs. Back in them days, them niggas ain't really do ad libs like that though, bruh. That's like more like a recent type of. When I think of the person who created ad libs, I think of DMX. What? You feel me? I think of that nigga DMX. He's like the first nigga to me that was doing ad libs. All right, and then of course I know on like with a lot of times Dr. Dre in his studio he had a Neve 1073 into a LA2A, and that's just the perfect mid-range kind of density type of vocal chain. And then I would use something like a SSLG strip again, the RVox. And for the delays on the lead vocal, maybe it sounds like they use like a tape slap delay because the delays and the slaps are very warm and they help really accentuate the clarity in the vocals. They provide a little contrast, and maybe something like a Manny reverb on something like a plate, because I know this is modeling like a Lexicon 480L, and I damn well know Dr. Dre had that shit at his hospital office, his studio. All right, so this is pretty much the end of the video here today, just talking about, a mix analysis of Dr. Dre, some of the tools that Dr. Dre probably used on the Chronic. I love this album a lot. You guys should go listen to it and study it. It's an important part of hip-hop history. You feel me? Just analyzing that stuff will make you a better mixer. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This free template will be down below for you guys to grab. Appreciate y'all now. Peace.